I'm here with Arindam, who's the Regional Head of HSBC Securities Services for the Middle East and North Africa. Arindam, we were just talking about the growth of capital markets in the Gulf and in the Middle East. And what sorts of opportunities does that provide for companies? First we'll talk about companies actually in the Middle East, and then let's talk later about companies who want to invest in the Middle East.
Well, if we assume, as all economists are saying, that growth will come from emerging markets, largely the Middle East is considered frontier markets right now. So by natural progression, one would expect that the next generation of growth will actually come from frontier markets. If you add to it the fact that the Middle East markets haven't done spectacularly well in the last 5 years, from the financial crisis, the generally held belief is that there is significant upside. So I would think that foreign institutional investors and local institutions would take advantage of this upside and invest in the regional markets.
Have you got a sort of strong small company culture in the Gulf, where families set up small businesses, grow them, and eventually they'll want to take their money out of them?
We do have lots of family-owned companies, as we discussed earlier, but we haven't seen a huge number of those companies being listed, or not to the extent that we would like it to be. I think there are a couple of reasons for it. One is the performance of the stock markets itself. Obviously, that determines the timing of the listing, because a family-owned company, it wants to decide the right timing so that it can get the best value out of the listing. The other is a point about transparency, corporate governance. The moment you get listed, obviously you are subject to a much higher degree of scrutiny than if you were not listed. But I think sometimes that point is a bit overemphasized, because again, over the last few years, we've seen significant improvement in the corporate governance standards of the Middle East listed companies. So they now have investor protection cells. They now have their CFOs going on investor roadshows, talking about the prospects of the companies. So I think that investment culture and the culture of transparency, openness, corporate governance, all that is changing.
And what about for bigger companies and international companies? Is Dubai, for example, looking increasingly attractive as a place to raise funds?
Certainly. Dubai, as you know, has two large exchanges, which are the Dubai Financial Markets and the Abu Dhabi Stock Exchange. And also there is Nasdaq Dubai, which is part of the Dubai International Financial Centers. So between the three of them, they do provide listing platforms for various companies. There is also talk about setting up a separate forum or a segment within these markets, which is specifically targeted for the small and medium scale enterprises. So we will look at that from the equities perspective. There is also talk about reviving the fixed income segment, because companies in the region do raise money through fixed income, but a lot of it is international debt floated on Euroclear or Clearstream. There is the need to have a local currency bond market in the region, and that's also been prioritized.
Okay, now, what are the barriers to that at the moment? Why haven't you got a local currency bond market?
I think part of it is legacy. The previous model, which is foreign currency debt listed on Euroclear Clearstream, works well. Banks lend a lot to these companies. So I think that's the model followed so far. But there is a recognition that you have to revive, or rather encourage, the local currency debt markets. So for example, in Qatar, we have seen them launching the treasury bills market on the stock exchange, and it's become pretty popular. So I think we are certainly seeing initial signs of these markets being developed.
Okay, now, we've seen a lot of investment over the years in Dubai and in the Gulf in general. Do you expect to see a lot more companies moving into the region for the first time in the few years ahead?
Certainly. We expect more companies to move in. We expect established companies to grow the scale of their operations. Now, looking at it from an investor perspective, we are already seeing a quantum change in the quality of investments that comes in, the length of time it stays for. So there was a time there in 2007, 2008, when we saw very rapid turnover of investments. Now, on the other hand, we are seeing more buy and hold sort of investors coming in. The traditional long-only pension funds, mutual funds, insurance companies. And that again is a significant change in the type of investments that the region is getting.
Okay, well, I think we'll talk more about the prospects for institutional investors in the Gulf in just a minute. But thanks for talking to me about the company situation and the opportunities for growth there.
Thank you, Brian.